So here they are sewn together. It's kind of cool. So I sewed them from the other side, and this is what they're like when you flip them over. See that? And we've got a nice line there. And this is our U and J. So we've got our J and then our little U. And this is what they look like. And this is one leg. Okay, so we've just finished sewing our legs, or our halves. I'm going to show you guys again what I did. So I have the first pair I cut, and one has a deeper J, and then there's one that has a smaller J. Okay, and I sewed it along this line here, not sewing any of the curves. Okay, and then what I'm going to do here is I'm going to open it up. And I want, if you can see this is what the stitch line is. Meaning I sewed it down this way, so when I open it, you're not going to see any sewing lines. You'll see absolutely nothing but the material, which is super cool. So I'm going to open it like this. And let's see if you guys can see this. This is my deeper curve, and this is my smaller one, the J's and U's. Okay, and now I'm going to take the other one that I sewed, the exact same thing, except it should be opposite, right? So this one, there's my small curve, and here's my big curve. And see how it's on this side? When I showed you on that way, the curves were facing this way. So the smaller one is on the bottom, and the big one is on the top. Here's my stitch line on the top here, and I want my stitch line to be facing up when it comes to the top pair, because that means we want our good lines to be on the inside. When you sew something, you always want your good lines to be in the inside, so when you turn it inside out, then everything looks good. So I have my big curve here. I'm going to line it up with my other big curve. And then I have my small curve. I'm going to line it up with my small curve. And then okay, so I'm all lined up. Here's my stitch on here, and then my other stitch is facing the bottom. So in between these two are our clean stitches. And what we're going to do now is we're going to sew together our curves. So try your best to make sure that everything's kind of laid out really flat. If you're not sure how this middle part is going to work, just maybe leave it open or pull them together nice and flat, so you know that you're not sewing any bumps or lumps in your stitches. So to do that, to make it easy, I always just safety pin everything. So I'm going to take a safety pin, and I'm going to safety pin my materials together nice and flat. So see this part here? You want to make sure that the stitch lines meet up perfectly, well, as best as you can, because you don't want them to get lumpy, or you don't want to sew them out of lump. So I'm just going to take a safety pin and safety pin it right in there. So now I know they're not going to move around so much. And if you want to just be on the safe side, you don't really have to. You can safety pin your corners, just so that when you start sewing, it doesn't really move anywhere, and make it just a tad bit easier. And then, after you finish this, just go ahead and get to sewing, and then we'll continue to the next step. So I just want to show you guys that stitching where the curves meet, just so you guys can see it up close. So here's my top stitch. I'm going to flip it over, and then here's my bottom stitch. And I want to make sure those two stitches meet up. So just like everything else is lined up, We don't want any bumps or any like lumpy stuff in the middle. So the best way to do it is just line up your stitches just like that, and sew like this right along everything else, and it should be pretty much lined up. Easy enough? I think so. So now that my curves are all sewed together, the next and last part that we need to sew for the basic part to get our pants to actually look like pants is going to be these outer layers. So what we're going to do now is we're going to fold one side across, okay, and that's going to be one leg, okay, so you can kind of see this line here, and then take this and fold it up, kind of get out of the way, and then take this one and kind of fold them in, just like that, and then these are the other sides we're going to sew together. So basically, our pants are starting to look like pants, but this is not the way we're going to sew it, right? Because then everything would be, then we would have stitching on the wrong side of the pants. So what we're going to do is, I hope you guys see how I got here. Can you guys see that they're pants now? So what we're going to do now is we're going to safety pin at least 3 to 4, okay? Do you guys, I feel like I think you guys understand how I got to this point, folding wise. So just fold your, safety pin up your corners. I've got a ton of safety pins. And then I'm going to turn them inside out. Back to all of our stitching. Okay? And then, now your safety pins are on the other side. But make sure you don't sew your safety pins and don't sew it with that fold. Okay? So let's start off with this side, since it doesn't matter which side you do first. And as you sew, take your safety pin out. So I'm going to start off by just taking out the top one. It's just so I can show you guys how it looks. And you're going to sew straight down to the bottom. And make sure if your safety pin is in there, don't just sew it like that, because then you're going to end up having this fold here, and you're not supposed to. It's supposed to be completely flat and just no bends, no nothing, just like how we sewed the middle. So go ahead and sew this side down and the other side down, and then our pants should be pants until we hook them onto the belt. So at this point, you have completely stitched everything, and your pants should have stitching everywhere on this outside, meaning that there's just a bunch of stitches everywhere. How you know what your back and front is that your back has this little teeny up going on here. I'm going to turn them inside out. Okay? And this is just, it's important just to check everything, just to make sure everything's alright. They're very low waist, and that's because we haven't put the belt on. So right now, these are exactly where I want as far as the bigness. Why? Because, well, Jasmine's pants are huge at the bottom, and they kind of fall. But so far, we're looking pretty good. So all that needs to happen now is, which is what we're going to do now, is the belt. And when we put the belt and we attach the pants to them, we're going to do some creases, which are like folds just like this. And see how big the bottom is. We're actually going to put elastic at the bottom of these pants, and it's going to cause them to bowl up and be at our ankles, not below our toes.